Hey everyone, this is Ben with Postfly. This time we've got this bunker pattern that I've really enjoyed using this fall. It's a nice little predator fly that swims great and casts easy, and makes use of a relatively small amount of materials. Start with the smaller size 4 hook from your kit. Tie in behind the hook eye and start working down the shank, just to where it starts to bend. Here we'll tie in a material that you'll get very used to with this pattern, marabou. Use your white marabou to create a nice thick tail that's about another hook shank and a half in length. When it's locked in, tie off and snip the butt section. Grab another white marabou feather and tie it in tip first just in front of your tail, then advance your thread to a hook eye or so from the front of the shank. Holding the feather's butt end, start wrapping the marabou up the shank, brushing the fibers back on each wrap. You also may have to pull the longer fibers out so that they don't wrap around each other as you go. When you reach your thread, tie off and snip the excess, then tie down any remaining tag. Now go to your kit's olive marabou and tie one in on top of your hook shank. The marabou should reach back about as far as the rest of the white tail does, almost appearing as an extension of it. Once secured, snip and tie down the excess. Create a small thread head to really bind down the final tie-in points of these marabou feathers. Then you can go ahead and whip finish and snip your thread free. The last thing I'll do here is hit the olive marabou with some barring using permanent marker. You don't have to go overboard here, just ensure that the stripes go all the way across the marabou on both sides. And that does it for the back of this fly. You can go ahead and set this aside for now. Next, get the larger size 2 hook in the vise. Just so you did on the last hook, tie in behind the eye and work your way down to the hook bend. Thread the back half of this fly with a strand of articulation wire, then pass the 2 tags through one of your kit's beads. Lay the 2 ends down on the shank of your front hook, ensuring that the back hook sits in line. If the orange bead is pressed against the eye of your back hook, you want the bead to be sitting just off the apex of the front hook bend. Now you can start tying in these 2 articulation wire tags, wrapping tightly up the shank. Go over this section a few times to really bind it in. If you haven't done so already, you can snip your excess here too. Brush a bit of super glue over the wire tie downs, then make some wraps to really stick it in place. After this, you should be good to go. Now we'll add a tail section. Use another strand of olive marabou on top of the shank, creating a tail that extends back to where your back hook's marabou ends. Once secured, invert your hook and repeat this process on the underside of the shank, this time with a strand of white marabou. Snip both tags when complete, and hit the olive section of this tail with some more barring. We'll add a bit of shimmer on both sides of the shank with this flash. Just use 1 strand per side, and let it go all the way back to the back tail and a little beyond. Snip anything that's too long, as well as the tags. Now tie in your white chenille around the midpoint of the hook shank, and tie back towards the tail to lock in. Advance your thread to about a hook eye behind the front of the shank, and follow in touching wraps with the chenille. You'll have to double up on the wraps once you get past the tie-in point for your marabou and wire, since this part is naturally thicker. When you've reached your thread, tie off and snip the rest. Add another olive marabou feather here, extending so that it stops around the eye of the back hook. Like we did earlier, snip the excess and add more barring with a marker. Now go to your pink marabou and pull off about a pencil's width of the long webby fibers from the butt of the feather. Tie them in on each side of the hook shank near the tie-in point of your olive, reaching them back to where you see your orange bead. Cover the remaining bottom of the shank with another white marabou strand, size the same as the olive marabou above it. Snip the excess when complete. We'll finish the head of this fly with some yarn. Take a couple of inches of the stuff and double it over to create a loop, then cut. For a really bushy head, I'll even do it again. I'm now holding 4 short strands of a uniform width and holding them all at one end. Then take a stiff brush. I found that a pet brush works really well for this, and start pulling apart the braided yarn on one end. As you go, you'll notice the texture change quite a bit to this softer, longer fibered material. Once the 4 strands have blended together, carefully set aside. Then repeat this process with your white yarn. Measure the olive and white yarn so that it extends from the hook eye to the bend of your front hook. Then reverse tie in by the butt ends with the fibers facing forward. Keep an even separation of the olive on top and white on the bottom. When the butt ends are secure, sweep the yarn back over the fly and bring your bobbin to just behind the hook eye. This stuff is super easy to manipulate and should go right back with a little brushing. When your thread is back up front, make a few close whip finishes. Then snip your thread and apply a small drop of glue. With your thread free, You can now do some more aggressive brushing with a toothbrush or that pet brush from earlier. When everything is in place, add 2 eyes on either side of the shank just behind the hook eye. Give the head a good squeeze by these eyes to slim it up on both sides. With that, your bunker is ready to fish. The fat head of yarn and marabou pushes water nicely, with the articulation and marabou body behind it doing a lot of work with strips or in current. Use this for everything from big trout to bass, pickerel, small pike, and more. Thanks for watching.